set it hard enough.
No, you're not reeling down. You had one following it. Did you see that? You had one like 6 inches behind it.
Trailing it.
Yeah. You're not you gotta reel down to them more.
Okay. Oh yeah. There you go.
Because you got a lot of line out and it's really deep, so you're gonna have to. So you don't set the hook when you feel them. You just start reeling on them. Spot on. And if you set the hook once, you're probably gonna have to reel in and like fix that.
Yeah.
So when you feel one tugging, don't set the hook. Start reeling.
Until it's
Start reeling till it's like almost tugging, then set the hook.
okay. Instead of when I get the bite.
Yeah.
Gives them time to swallow it.
No. You got to realize, like I said, we're throwing out there, we're in 25 foot of water too. And the fact that you also got to leave this much, so they might bite it and move up here, and you set the hook, and all you do is just bring up slack. So you're reeling, because you remember that thing, that it's not connected to your weight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But what you're feeling is the weight.
Well, you're feeling the bite, but I mean that doesn't mean the fish is perfectly in line.
Yeah.
So you're reeling all that up to get it to where the pressures are right there before you set the hook.
Pretty late. Nice day.
Yeah. All right, I wanted to kind of explain more about what I was talking about. With Carolina rigging, it's kind of different, and it's just kind of a feel for the whole deal as we've done this over the years. When you're dragging that thing, what I want to explain to y'all is you're dragging this weight. That's all you really feel is this weight on the bottom. And as it's dragging along the bottom, you know, your bait's back here. Let me put on a bait for y'all so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Your bait's dragging back here. So as you're pulling that bait along and you feel a bite, it usually now they do bite the sinker a lot, which you can kind of feel. That's why we don't set the hook right away. Sometimes we feel the bite, sometimes we don't, but we want to feel tugging, because a lot of times if they bite it and they swim this way and you're still dragging, they're slack all in here. So if you set the hook, you could possibly just be doing this and nothing actually moves this. You just set the hook on slack. So that's why when you feel a bite, you know, you kind of just keep pulling until you start feeling tugging. Because if they start tugging here, now it's starting to move this way, right? And so now you have all this tension in between where your weight is and where your hook is. Like I said, because if you've got this and the fish moves forward, you've got all this slack. So what I was telling them is when you get a bite and you're bringing this, you know, you start reeling, even though, and we're fishing really deep too. So as you're doing this, it doesn't hurt to just start reeling. And you can reel quite a bit, actually. You'll see us sometimes reel 4, 5, 6 reels in a row as fast as we can, and you can see that rod start to load up. As soon as that rod starts to load up, then you can set the hook. And you notice we're not breaking off, we're not doing anything like that. So that kind of makes sure that if there is any slack anywhere in there, everything starts to tighten up. And now when you set the hook, the entire penetration when you set the hook goes into the fish. It's something you kind of have to work on, Carolina rigs too, for whatever reason, and let me explain this. I think it's because there's no weight on this, and so they don't let go as much. So when you feel them or they feel you, they tend not to let go as quick. So that's kind of one of those deals. Is I think it's because this is so light, there's no weight attached to it in their mouth. I think they really feel comfortable with just having this in their mouth. So pay attention to that. Really watch how we do that over the course of the day, how we kind of set the hook.
The garage still just overflowing with lures.
A little bit.
A little bit.
See, look, watch. So you reeled it up
And then set it.
A lot of times you'll see 30 or 40 of them down there and just throw out there. I mean, they could drag it once or twice and they're on there.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to move around with them a little bit. They generally stay in the same area. I mean, I'm seeing some on the screen at least, but nothing.
Nothing like a big crew.
No, and go look for them later too. But I don't know if the sun might make them come out. Sometimes it's weird how you can just see them better sometimes. Definitely seem to be on that. That's where I saw them, but I saw some scattered out here a little bit too. They'll get smart too, though.
Don't you do a polymer on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean,
Good, but you want to just go ahead and
yeah, you always cut your leader first and tie that first, and then tie it on there. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, here's a quick way to rig up the Carolina rig. And I say this because it's kind of important. It can make you go a little bit faster. What you definitely want to start with is I already cut off a longer piece of line. I'm throwing 25-pound sunline, and I cut it off a lot longer than I normally would, right? Normally use. I'm throwing a throughout owner hook. This is usually the hook I throw for most of the stuff I Carolina rig with. Usually because I don't like throwing big baits on Carolina rigs. I like smaller ones. This is the hook we've been throwing forever. It's perfect, it's simple, it's strong. So I just go ahead and tie a Palomar knot on the hook itself. Do that real quick. I should be able to do all this real quick. Okay. Now the reason you tie it, get a longer piece of line, this is where you're going to be able to figure out how long you want to do it. Always go longer, and it doesn't matter that you're not going to use it all. It just makes it easier when you tie the Palomar knot on there. So grab a barrel swivel, size and stuff like that, it doesn't really matter. This is owner barrel swivel. And what I can do is I can start pulling line up, right? And I can either make it that long, or I can take more line out. You know, I can make it as long as I want to. So when you tie your Palomar knot and you come back through there, right, you can figure out how much length you want on this. And so if you wanted to tie the knot here, you can leave that much as a tag in, and you can have that much of it, or you can pull the tag in a little bit more, and now you can have that much of it, right? That's kind of the length. I don't really measure it. I just kind of know that that's about the length I want to do it. So with that tag in, even though you have a lot of it out, now you can just tie a Palomar knot right there. It might be off by an inch or two, but that's not going to matter. So yeah, you got that much of a tag in, but now it's about about the length I always want is about that much. So about 2 foot, maybe a little bit longer, but not much. So that's what I do. Now, this is all, like I said, 25-pound sunline. I've just never seen it really matter. I just go as heavy as I think I can get away with, and I think 25-pound line is fine. 3/4 ounce or 1 ounce. This is a Strike King Carolina rig. It's all tungsten. I just like the tungsten a little bit better. I just like it when you hit stuff that's hard down there. You can kind of feel the bottom a lot better. So that's 3/4, 1 ounce. 99.9% of the time, that's what I'm throwing, a 3/4 or 1 ounce. I don't know if I've ever gone less than that. There's just no reason to. I take a clacker, and that's all I do is put those two things on there, just like that. And now you can tie it. You want to do all that in order. So now when you tie your Palomar knot back onto your swivel, all you got to do is run that whole thing back through the hole, like that. That's the fastest way to do it. Pretty darn fast. And now you got your perfect Carolina rig. This, I don't know if I showed y'all this. This is the setup I'm throwing it on. I'm throwing it on. Falcon's got a new Expert rod. It's their 7.6. It's called their swim bait jig rod. This is the one I throw. Man, I love this rod. I just kind of got it a couple of weeks ago. So that's kind of what I've been throwing for probably for the last couple months. And like I said, I went out there to just mess around Carolina rigging with my buddy, and I just got a brand new Super Duty 300. This is, I think, the 7.2-1, and I usually don't throw that reel on. I usually just have braid on this, so I wanted to try something different. I can promise you this is the reel I'll be throwing from now on all my Carolina rigs, on all my worm fish and stuff. Man, it just works for me. And I just love how big, bulky, strong it is. And because this isn't a finesse type deal, you're throwing a heavy bait out there, dragging it, trying to hit them hard, long ways away when you're, casting out there. So I fell in love with this thing. So that's now the setup I've got.
What hook are you using?
When you open that up, I'll show you. That bottom right, look for threes. Bottom right, very bottom right, very bottom right.
Very bottom right.
No, bottom right. Yeah, nope, yeah, right there. Look for number threes. You say when they want to use a drop shot. Last year, man, people were trying to drop shot and you catch some, but that Carolina rig, not many people think about it. And really just that Carolina rig with that bait on there is the key. People don't know much about that thing. All right, out there we were basically using two baits. This is a Strike King Super Fry. This bait just kind of works good out there, and so I throw it a lot. It's really bright. I love this color the most. This is a unique bait in the sense of, for the most part, it either really works really well or I just don't throw it. And what I mean by that is, at random times they eat this thing better than every single thing else. And so sometimes I just always have one tied on and throw it to see if it's working. My kind of go-to bait all the time is basically just a game hog, the smaller 4-inch game hog from Strike King. As you can see, I have tons of them in here. I've got the big ones too, but like I said, my go-to is that the 4-inch one, and those are usually the two baits. Sometimes I'll throw a fluke, something like that, like a caffeine shad or something. But for the most part, these are my baits I use. Trick worm also works as well. And I stay pretty basic with colors, mainly greens and browns and stuff. I do go darker when I go down to Florida or if it's really muddy. But like I said, this is the other one. This is kind of like the old French fry. except Strike King now makes this in a whole bunch of different colors too. And the way that's what I was throwing. Just wanted to let y'all know, some of the baits we were doing.
Oh yeah, that's a better bass. Got him? Oh yeah. Well, we caught 20 today.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, what do you think?
I think you need to head in so you make sure you're home in
I'll be
time.
home. It's just golly, I don't know what they got like bored out here.
They all left. I wonder where they went.
You gonna put all your rods and stuff up?
I'll get it up here.